Good morning, all of you. I hope I am audible and the presented screen is visible. Anyone can quickly acknowledge in the chat box whether I am audible and the presentation screen is visible or not. Okay, thank you. We'll continue with our email security. I was explaining about the different operations performed under this email security, right? Authentication, confidentiality, compression, and then email compatibility, right? And then the segmentation reassembly process, right? Now this is the quick flow how the PGP operation is carried out, right? The first thing is that this is the information or the file which has to be transferred through the email, right? And if you wanted to apply any digital signature algorithm, right, we can apply digital signature algorithm, right? Any hash function and then signature can be applied, and then so you can compress the file. If you wanted to achieve the confidentiality, again you can apply for one more encryption using any one of the technique which can be used in order to achieve the confidentiality, whether it is a secret key encryption, right? And then you will reduce it to the radix 64 conversion, convert it to radix 64 bit, which will convert our actual information in terms of binary values into the ASCII values. And then again if you wanted to apply one more level of confidentiality, so again you can, so this is at the receiver side, sorry, now this is at the sender side and this is at the receiver side, right? So here the reverse operation is carried out, right? And then if the confidentiality achieved, again the decryption is carried out again in order to verify the signature, again another round of hash function application which is carried out, and finally they will verify the signature whether the email security or the hash code is valid or not, hash code is matches or not, right? Next we'll discuss about segmentation reassembly process, right? So this was one of an important operation which we discussed about under the email security, which was segmentations, right? When we talk about the segmentation, it is the process through which, right, your large information which is going to be divided into smaller units, those smaller units which can be called as a segments. Now this pretty good privacy which subdivides the original message if the length is more than 50,000 octets, right? So if it is more than this size, again, so that is going to be divided into different segments, right? If it is a greater than this, again, so that will be very difficult to transfer through the email, right? So here this is what the complete diagram through which you will understand how the segmentation and reassembly process which works, right? So here this is the key ID of both the recipients, right? The public key and the session key components, right? Again the timestamp at which the message has been generated in order to, so these are the information which are relevant to the specific operation in order to create a signature, right? Again, so these are the information which is required: key ID of the sender, the public key, and then right the message digest value, and then right now this is the leading two octets, right? That is a 16 bit values, and then the message digest value, and this is the message information which are file name, timestamp, and then data, right? Now here you can see that the compression is applied only for the message and signature, not for the session key components, right? And then after compression they are applying for encryption, and then this is the final operation which is converting into binary values into ASCII value, which is based on radix bit 64-bit conversion functions, right? This through the diagram will understand the different parameters of different operations, right? When we talk about the message, which is actual information which the user wanted to transmit, right? So this is what you will write it on the body or any file which you wanted to transfer. This can be an attachment, your Word file or PDF file or Excel file or any multimedia file, right? And which includes the file name and then timestamp and the complete information in order to check for the signature components. So to generate a signature, these are the components which are required to generate a signature, right? And followed by the list of operation are performed, what we discussed so far. Next, we'll discuss about the PGP session keys. I was talking about, suppose if we wanted to achieve confidentialities, right? You can use a session keys, right? This session key can be vary in size. Suppose if you are using DES, right, you can use for 56-bit key, and in case if you are using ID 128-bit key, so that supports for cache or ID algorithm. Suppose if you wanted to use 168-bit, so this is triple DES. How this 168? Because the 56-bit key which has to be repeated for 3 times, you can use a different keys, right? I hope you can recall the concepts how the triple DES encryption algorithm works, right? Where the encryption has to be repeated for 3 times. After that, there are different versions, right, or different combinations. We can use 3 different keys for encryption, or you can use encryption using K1 and then encryption using K2 and then decryption using K1, so that you will get a 3 combination of keys. So where 3 into 56, so you will get a 168 key which will be used for an encryptions, right? So again, in order to generate a key, right, you can use a random inputs taken from the previous users and from the keystroke of or keystroke timing of the users, right? So this generate a key, right? So there are different things through that you can follow, whether you can use a random input values or whether you can use a key which has been derived from the user keystrokes, right? So this can be depends upon the algorithm as well as the user, right? If they wanted to use a complex value or if you wanted to use a system generated keys, so this key will be selected automatically. Okay, next we'll discuss about the key pairs, right? The public key as well as private key rings, right, which are going to be used in the PGP security, right? So this uses PGP algorithm, which is the combination of the private key as well as the session key encryption technique, or I could say that the public key cryptography as well as symmetric key cryptography, right? So here, so in order to select the keys, private key as well as public keys, again, give me a moment, right? So this need to identify which is actually used to encrypt a session key in a message, right? What was the key which is used to encrypt the session key? Actually, we discussed this point, right? In order to send the session key secretly, the session key was encrypted using receiver's public key, right? Along with this, right? So this, in order to no decrypt the message, right, and the public key with every message which needs to be sent, right? So this is insufficient for that, right? What we can use that key identifier based on the key, right? So here when we talk about the key identifier, right, again we'll use a different strategy or technique through which from the available key, right, the key will be selected, right, and based on the key, right, again, so there can be a different variations is least significant 64-bit of the key. So here this based on the master key, right, a specific key will be selected from the master key, which are already selected as well as distributed by KDC. When we talk about KDC, which is a key distribution center, right, which is responsible for generating a key for the particular users, right? Again, so this will seems to be unique and also use a ID in a signatures, right? Based on these values, right, whatever the key which has been generated and distributed by the KDC, they will use the key in order to generate a signature. I was talking about the key rings, right? Key rings, right, which is a rack or repository where the user will maintain a list of keys, right? So each PGP user has a pair of key rings, right? The public key rings contain all the public keys of the other PGP users known to this user indexed by the key ID, right? So this is like a bunch of keys, right, which has a multiple public keys of the different users who are known to the particular sender, right? Again, similarly, the private key ring contains the public key and then private key pair of this user. This user means a sender. Don't think that the other users private key will be known to this users, right? That is not at all possible, right? Only this private key ring is will have the information about the private key of the sender only, not by other user informations, right? And along with this, the public key as well as private key, right? And you have indexed by key ID and encrypted key from the passphrase, right? So here, suppose if the user maintains any other key which is a session key or any other secret key which are to be considered as a private key. Suppose if the user is using a session key or secret key, right, that session and secret key which are stored in the form of encrypted versions, right? As already we discussed several times, if any algorithm, right, whenever you are storing the password, always the password which are stored in the database in the form of as applied values or the encrypted version, simply I will say, right? Similarly, in the private key ring, suppose if the user maintains or user has a separate session key or secret key, in order to do the symmetric encryption, that key might have not stored as a plain key values, rather the key at the key would have stored or the key as stored in the form of encrypted or hash applied value. This is the concepts which are related to the public key ring and then private key ring. I repeat, when we talk about this public key ring, user will have a key ring where he will have the different public key of the different users. Say for example, if this is user A, now you will have the public key of B, public key of C, and then public key of D, and then public key of E. Like that, you can have any number of users public key which is stored and maintained here in the public key ring. When we talk about the private key, the same user is private key which is used for public key cryptography. Again, you will use a session key or secret key which is used for symmetric encryption. That this again, this is stored in the form of encrypted version. Next, we'll try to explore how the PCB generation which takes place from user A to user B, right, without compression algorithms, right? So we'll quickly understand. Right now, this is a passphrase. Passphrase is the value which has been entered by the users, right? So let's assume this passphrase is the master password. right? So here the private key and identity of the user A's private key ring, where he has the private keys, right? And then different informations, right? Again the public key. So here the public key ring, which is the user B's public key, right? Now from the passphrase or master password, right? So they are applying into the hash code, which will produce the hash code value, right? And whatever the key, say for example here if it is a session key, encrypted private key, whatever the key which is stored here and which is applied to the hash function. So here the private key, always remember that if you are storing any key, always the keys are stored in the form of encrypted or hash applied values. So if the user wanted to use a private key, so here they will take the private key, right? And the private key which will be applied for hash code, right? Here the hash code will be applied to the encryption using private key, right? Now again, so this is the message, input message, and the message is applied to the hash function. They will get the hash code. For the hash code, right, they will apply the private key, right? What is this? The DC stands for decryption. Don't get confused. So here in the password directory, rather using the word private key ring, I can say this is the directory where the password is stored. Password is stored in the form of encrypted version. In order to do the encryption, the key which is used is that uh, whatever the key which they have derived using the hash function with the help of the master password. See, I'll repeat. This is a passphrase, or we'll say it is a master password. From the password, right, we'll apply the hash code, right? This hash code is used in order to protect the password, right? So now this the hash code produced value which is going to be considered as a private key. So here in order to decrypt, again from the master password we'll apply the same hash function, we'll get a hash code. This hash code is the decryption key for the private key. So after decrypting, the private key will be retained, right? So here message hash function. So this is a different hash function, right? Not the same hash function. Now say for example, this is SH algorithm which you use. This can be MD5 algorithm which is decided by this email function or email security service, right? Hash function message digest will be generated, and for this message generation they will do the encryption with the help of the private key which has been extracted after decrypting from the private key ring, right? So now along with this information they are adding the ID of the key which is used, private key, not the private key, the ID, right? Now this is the combination of the signature plus message again. So this entire information which are going to be applied to encryption using a secret key. Now again, so this is a ring, right? So this can be again a private key ring where the session key again which was stored in the form of encrypted versions, right? But the thing is that the session key is known by both the sender and receiver, right? Now here they will apply again encryption using a secret key. Now this is encrypted signature plus message. So this is a signature and a message. Now they are doing an encryption. So here it is coming encrypted signature and message, right? So here whatever the message they are getting, right, again, so that will be again encrypted, right, using the public key of B, right? So this is only for sending, so this is for an authentication, this is for confidentiality. Here this is the B ring, so this is one time encryption. Now this is second round of encryption where the entire information will be encrypted again using receiver's public key, right? Now After that, whatever the output which we produced, this output which will be transferred to the receiver, right? So the complete reverse operation will be carried out at the receiver end. I hope this is clear. If any query regarding the explanation of different techniques or different uh, strategies through which how the encryption is done with the help of the private key as well as public key rings. If you have any queries, quickly can write in the chat box. Any query, any questions, any doubt? Okay, so I hope you understood it clearly. So we'll proceed further, right? So now this is related to the key management. So far we are discussing about the key, public key ring, and then as well as the private key rings, right? When we talk about the PGP key management, right? So here the key which has to be issued by there are different techniques through which a public key can be distributed, right? Out of that we discussed about the role of a certificate authority, right? When we use a public key cryptography, right? So we discussed about X.509 certificate format, and then we discussed about how the certificate has been generated, how it can be distributed, and the different elements, signature algorithm which you use, issuer name, and then owner name, certificate revocation. Similarly, right, this the PGP, in PGP every user is own certificate authority, right, can sign keys for user and they know directly, right? So based on the information of the certificate authority, whatever issuing the public keys, right? Because here the individual users, they will act as the own certificate authority, because if the public key is generated by own, right, so they will assume that they are the own certificate authority, and then they will share the certificate to other users, right? Again, when we talk about the form of web of trust, right, a trust keys are signed here again with respect to the trustworthiness, right? Can trust keys others have signed if I have a chain of a signature to them, right? Again, so the key rings which include trust indicators, user can also revoke their keys. So here the 3 point which mentioned, suppose if the certificate authority issued a public key certificate, right, in that cases trustworthiness already built, because the certificate has been issued by the trusted third party, right? So rather if the own user, they are using their own certificate, right, in that cases the trustworthiness is more important. Also, whenever if they required, they can revoke their public keys, or they can revoke the certificates. Okay, any doubts regarding the different points which are covered so far in the email security? Different services, almost we discussed about 12 13 services. Then we discussed about different operation which are performed under the email security, confidentiality, authentications, and then the compression function, segmentation, reassembly. Then we discussed about the flow of email security. Then we discussed about the different the key values, right, public key rings as well as private key rings. And then we discussed about how the different pair of keys, combination of keys which are applied to the email security in order to securely transfer our email. Any queries regarding those concepts? Quickly you can write in the chat box if you have any queries. Say yes or no. Okay. So we'll proceed further. Next topic which I'm going to cover is an IP security, right? So here, so far we discussed about the PGP, right? So this IP security, right? Whenever you are using any IP protocol, right, where the security needs to be applied, all the information which are going to be transferred using the TCP/IP protocol, right? And there are different techniques through which IP security can be attained. S/MIME, multi-purpose internet mail extension, right? The PGP also the part of IP security, as well as the Kerberos, as well as SSL, HTTPS, right? When we talk about the IP security, right? So this is with respect to the information which are specifically which apply for the IP protocol, right? So this provides a different security services, right? Our security mechanisms, right? Authentication, confidentiality, and then key management, right? Now this IP security can be applied to use over a local area network, as well as the public, as well as wide area network, or the internet, right? So we can apply this IP security in the different locations, right? Whether it can be a LAN network, WAN network, right? So wherever the internet is connected, and that all the locations are in all the situations, we can use this IP security, right? Now, so this IP security which applicable for in order to achieve an authentication as well as encryption. When we talk about this IP version 4 and then IP version 6. Now what is the IP address size in bits for IP version 4 and version 6? I think you would have studied in computer network IP version 4 and then IP version 6, which is 32-bit and then 128-bit, right? Next, we'll quickly cover the IP security document overview, right? So here, this is what the architecture, right, of IP document, right? The first one is architecture. This is the document means, right? The document refers that how these functionalities are, how these process are carried out. Here the architecture, right, will consist of the complete architecture of IP security with the different entities or elements. And so this IP security can be implemented using a two methods. The first one is that authentication header protocol, and the second one is ESP, which is encapsulation security payload. Right? So this ESP is encapsulation security payload, right? Again, so all the documents related to this protocol, how the packets are segmented, right? How the encryption are carried out, right? How the data are transmitted, whether it is a tunnel mode or maybe in the different modes, right? And all the information with related to this encapsulation security payload which are described here. And encryption algorithm, right? In order to do the encryption, there are different algorithms which can be adapted, and it's the complete information, right, which are applicable in order to implement this IP security, which are described under this document, which is encryption algorithm, and then authentication algorithm, right, which includes different authentication technique which are used, and then domain of interference, right? Suppose if how these different entities are no merged together in order to achieve this IP security, and then the key management, this part which plays a crucial role through which, right, where it will describe the information about how the keys are stored in the database, right? So in the later part, I'll explain about all the components which are described in the document overview, right? Now, when we talk about the different uses of IP security, right? Say for example, now this is a simple diagram through which you will try to understand. Suppose if this is a LAN network, right, where the two devices which are connected, right, and if you are transmitting the information through the Ethernet to other network, right? So this is the public or private network, right? Let's assume through that you are connecting, you are interacting with the external network, right? Where all this informations, right? All the information which you are transmitting, right, from the Ethernet switch here also, right? The networking devices with the IP security, which includes, see here, this is our the actual packet which you are transmitting, IP payload, right? Payload is something that a data, what message which you are transmitting, payload, and then IP header, right? IP protocol header, which includes some information about where the data has to be delivered, correct? Where the data has to be delivered, or it may have some the different routing algorithms, right? Maybe the next ID address or next node address and all related things, right? When this packet, which is transmitted through networking devices with where we enable the IP security, that means that along with these two existing things, IP header and then, right, uh, in between, right? So this, whatever the information which is received, that is applied to the secure IP payload. So here there is no word secure, right? This is simple IP payload. I can show it again. So this is a simple IP internet protocol payload. After passing this information to the networking devices, which is embedded with the IP security, right? So now this is being converted into security IP payload. For this, again, there is another IP security header has been generated. All this information are no transmitted or encapsulated under this new header. There is no change in the new header or IP header, right? But there is a change in the actual information which is being conveyed through the IP security. So here also you will find that if the data, if the packet is coming, IP payload with the IP header, right? After passing the information to the IP security networking device, right? So this algorithm will apply security to the payload, and again it generates a new header which is no kept inside this IP header, which is IP security header, which gives the information about that how the security is applied to the payload, right? Now the receiver will receive the complete information which are completely applied to the IP security protocol. I hope this is clear. Any queries regarding this explanation? Next, we'll discuss about the few benefits of IP security layer, right? So here, whenever this information which passes through different networking devices like the firewall or router, which provides a strong security, all traffic crossings the perimeter, right? So if the information, right, as we excuse me, as we discussed in the previous slide, right, when the information is passes, if the IP payload is passes through secured networking devices where we implement IP security, which converts actual payload into IP payload, security IP payload, right? So similarly, there are different routers or different networking devices which protects or which converts our information to the secured one, right? So here again, the firewall in a firewall or router is resistant to bypass, right? Again, so here is this IP security is below transport layer, and so which transparent to the applications, right? This can be transparent to the end users, can provide security for individual users, as well as secure secures routing architectures, right? So here in the IP security, you will get the benefit, right? Whether the packet has to be transferred through the tunnel mode or maybe the different modes, right? Where the user can select a secure path where the virtual path will be established between the two devices, source and destination, right? So where the virtual path will be created between these two devices, and the data will be transferred in a secured way using tunnel mode. Again, there are two modes that we will be discussing in the later session: transport mode and then tunnel mode. Right? I was talking about the overview of the documentation overview of IP security, right? So these are the quick different functionalities which are mentioned in the components of IP documentation overview. The first is architecture, which covers general concepts, security requirements, definitions, and the mechanisms which are defining for the IP security technology. All those points which are documented under the architecture part. And when we talk about an authentication header, is an extension header of the message authentication, right? Which now it is decrypted. And the next one is that encapsulated security payload, right? So this consists of an encapsulating header and trailer. So here, so this will give the complete information about encapsulated header and trailer, which is used to provide an encryption or combined encryption as well as authentications, right? Whenever if the packet is transmitted through the network, right, after using this encapsulation security payload, so this will create an additional header as well as footer that is added with the actual information, right? So that is responsible by an encapsulation security payload, which is ESP. And the next one is that internet key exchange, right, which is a collection of documents describing the key management scheme for IP security. And then the last one is that the cryptographic algorithm, right, our authentication algorithm which uses, right, the different algorithm which should applicable for this encryption as well as decryption, message authentication, the pseudo random functions in case if any key has to be selected randomly, how the key will be selected using a different pseudo random values or pseudo random functions, right? All those information which are described under this the cryptographic algorithms, right? And also in the others, right, there are some other information which are related to that the security policy as well as the management information base, right? How the information which are to be stored in the database, the different policies and procedures. Whatever the point which I explained, the architecture, authentication, header, encapsulation security payload, internet key exchange, and then cryptographic algorithm, all these points are the part of IP security document overview we studied in the second slide of IP security. Any queries regarding this explanation? If you have any queries, quickly you can write in the chat box. I hope you wrote your attendance in the chat box. With this, we are coming to the end of our today's session. If you have any queries, quickly you can write in the chat box. The rest we will continue in the next session.